One thing about Jaws that seems like it could be extremely exciting is I was surfing around. I was surfing around on the computer and I found this podcast, and they were talking about how during the summer there's this one place that has like a swimming pool with rapids, kind of like rapids on the reservoir in Jackson. And what they do is at night, people get in the swimming pool, they get on their rafts, and they put on the big screen right in front of the pool Jaws. And while people are in the pool watching the movie, there's a guy that dresses up in a black suit. There's no lights on in the pool, and he has a shark fin on his back, and he goes behind the people and tugs on their ankles.
Oh my gosh. That is so psychotic.
That
would be so awesome.
That would be awesome. I want to do that.
Me
Let's
too.
No, see, because I would hurt people. See, like that guy, I would be beating him till I saw something other than blood come out of his body. Like, when I've only been to one haunted house, and I hurt somebody in that haunted house. I swear I did.
No, see, that's just putting yourself in a bad position. For people who want to go there and experience that, that's just ridiculous, I think.
I think that if you can be in the mindset of it's only a movie, you're in a swimming pool, you're safe, and you know that there is a guy coming up behind you who's going to tug on your ankle, I think that you can laugh and enjoy it. But, you do have a point where if a person freaks out, like let's say, for example, their friends take them, they don't tell them what's going to go on, and it happens, it could create a panic. Especially if someone is terrified of the water to start with.
Yes.
Yeah, they should make sure they know what's going on if they take them there.
Yes. It shouldn't be a surprise.
Exactly.
No,
There should be, some sort of a disclaimer saying, look, this is a movie, and there's going to be a guy swimming around in a freaking shark suit that's going to tug on your ankles. It's not Jaws. Because, sometimes you got to be plain English.
There was no shark in the pool, people.
They are salt water, not fresh.
Well, some people's imaginations can get away with them, though, And I wonder
Especially
if there's
right
an
time.
age limit or something on this.
I don't know, but imaginations, that is a good thing to touch on, because even when I go in a haunted house, like Leatherface scares the hell out of me, and it never fails. Every time I go in a haunted house, I'm the one that gets chased down by Leatherface. And even though I know it's a man in a costume just doing his job, it still scares the hell out of me.
Yeah.
See, like I said, I only went into one haunted house, and I hurt somebody, I think. So that I kind of hurt somebody, because we were in a narrow room it was all black with black lights on and ski masks on the wall. One of them ski masks jumped out at me. I screamed like a girl, punched him. All I heard was thud.
Oh.
And then I made a beeline. I think I pushed some people out of the way. I don't know what happened to dude.
You guys ever children, small kids?
I didn't care what happened. I think when there was a little girl that just jumped out and screamed at me, and I yelled at her and told her to shut up.
Oh, man.
Now, this brings me to the fear that people have developed over the movie Jaws, because I'm not the only one that's felt this way. As you had mentioned, you had felt similar, and I've heard other people feel the same way about it. But as far-fetched as it is to hear of a land shark, such as Saturday Night Live, after I saw the movie, I honestly felt terrified that just rounding the corner in my home, the shark was going to jump out and get me. At my grandparents' house, they had a furnace in the floor, and you can look down in the furnace and see the heater and all that stuff. You can see the pilot light. And after watching Jaws, I was scared to walk across that, because I was scared that the shark was going to bust out of there and grab me. And why do you think that even some adults, why do you think they have that fear of, after watching it, that if they round the corner, the shark's just going to jump out and grab them?
I don't know. Maybe it's because sharks are real. And, even though we know that there are no sharks in the furnace or in New Mexico, maybe there had been at one time, but not anymore. You still, your mind is battling with itself, because you still know sharks are real, and they do eat people, and they have eaten people, and there's just that little, I don't know, I have a fear of depths, and I don't know if it has anything to do with me seeing this movie so young. But I have a fear of swimming in deep water. I mean, I'll do it, but I have to really coax myself to get into the deep water. Or if I row over a sunken boat, and I have done this because I used to live on a boat and we used to have to row ashore, and one time there was a hurricane and a bunch of the boats in the harbor had sunk, and we rowed over one that was sunk, and I just had this horrible panic feeling. It freaked me out to be over this sunken boat. So I don't understand the fear, but it's something, because it's real.
I think it's the same like with any other like scary movie. I mean, like we know Freddy Krueger and Jason and Michael Myers, they are not real, but you see that movie, especially like in Jaws, it's so intense. Seeing this shark and how they did the movie so brilliantly, it scares you, even though you know it's not real.
I just think the imagination just runs wild.
I'd have to agree. I think we let our mind. I think to a certain degree we let our minds play tricks on us to where we're like, okay, the land shark is on the other side of the door.
And, that kind of brings me to an assumption that I have, and pretty much there are no wrong answers here, but just run with me here. But we consider the shark in Jaws to be a predator that is high on the food chain. Maybe in our minds somewhere deep psychologically, we are linking the shark to perhaps a burglar or a serial killer or something that could be more tangible and possible in being in the house. And maybe some way we are kind of like associating it with that shark, because the shark in Jaws, it does give you a jolt, it does scare you, and perhaps that's what we can relate to at times, thinking of the land shark, using it as a metaphor for being attacked by a serial killer or someone who broke into the house.
Well, I think that's a possibility, but I also think that another theory would be that since the dawn of man, we have had to deal with predators. And I think that over the years of developing, we still have that historic, I don't know how to put it into words, that history of that fear, and I think that goes down to generations. There was a study on that, and on the Discovery Channel they did a whole show about fear of the dark, and it came from the beginning where there were things in the dark that could attack us and kill us and eat us, and to this day we have the fear of the dark, and that comes from our ancestors and has been brought down to us. So
I think it boils down to we have to give fear a face. We have to give fear a face. It's almost like, this is probably going to be a bad example, but it's almost like imagining God. You almost have to have an image in mind of God or Jesus to have a good example of goodness in life, perhaps. So at the same time, you also, as the devil, have to have an image in mind to be frightened of. And personally, for some people, it would probably be the shark. It's, their relation of, as we had said earlier, perhaps the shark is the enemy of the night that creeps in and breaks apart the happy family.
I also I register it with pain too, because I would imagine that being eaten by a shark quite painful.
Yeah, especially the way that the captain slowly got chomped to bits
from the feet up.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Blood gushing out of his mouth.
It just that can't be a fun way to go.
And the cage scene in the movie when that dude's underwater, he's in that cage trying to get the shark, and the shark is attacking the cage like that. He's just trapped in there and having to try to break away from the shark.
Which also makes me wonder exactly what it takes for a person to be scared to death. I personally could not be one of the actors in this movie, because even though I knew for a fact that the shark was fake and I was going to be okay, I would still be pissing my pants.
Oh yeah, that's what the most scariest, to me, the most scariest seen in the movie.
Yeah, but luckily you'll be in water, so nobody can tell the difference anyway.
Oh, the water's getting warm over here.
It's getting a little salty.
I'm sorry, crew. We have to cut again. There's a yellow line drifting up from Mr. Dreyfus's swimsuit.
It's like, I'm sorry, man. I had too much 7-Up. Okay.
It was caught on cam again. Listen, Mr. Dreyfus, could you please drink more water?
Well, apparently, I'm sure they had to drink plenty of it, you know.
Well, they filmed this on the ocean. That was another thing that I saw in this show. That they said they couldn't do this because we can't film out on the real ocean. It's just too choppy. It just can't be done. And he's like, yeah, it can, and we're doing it.
It worked though, it being done in the ocean.
Yeah.
It was a lot more believable.
Absolutely, and it gave kind of a very barren sense. It's kind of like being out in the desert, you know.
Yeah.
You know, or in the middle of the nowhere where, you know, God knows what is out there, and the God knows what is, in this case,
Land sharks.
Yeah. Yeah, land sharks in water. No.
Well, it goes to the term swimming with sharks. That can be considered in the business place. They use the phrase, well, you're swimming with sharks if you go against that company.
Or you
work with lawyers.
Yeah.
Loan sharks.
Or if you work for Walmart.
Well, with that said and done, I honestly feel that the movie is a scary movie. It works well as an action-adventure film, but it also works well as a scary movie. And even though on YouTube I've included that the movie and book both are included in my top favorite scary movies and top favorite scary books, I've received numerous emails saying, how in the hell is Jaws a scary movie or a scary book? Well, I ask, how is it not? If you use your imagination, how is it not scary?
Well, and it's made the test of time. I mean, it's still showing. People are still watching it. It's still on TV, and
people are still intrigued by it. And I mean, really, the horror genre has a lot of monsters in it. And I'm sorry, how can you not see Jaws as a monster?
other than what was that other movie, The Blue?
Deep Blue Sea.
Deep Blue Sea. I haven't seen any other decent shark movies.
Yeah,
That's probably
exactly.
the only two.
Mm-hmm.
That what they did with Deep Blue Sea is they amped it up.
Yeah.
It was pretty much Jaws amped up.
On steroids.
Jaws on steroids.
Yeah, exactly.
Jaws 2000.
Exactly. But I mean, it's one of those things. It was done so well and so with such an iconic name, and has such iconic stamina that anything else that tries to redo it or overdo it just looks either cheesy or dumb, with the exception of Deep Blue Sea.
Even the sequels.
Jaws is not the scariest movie I've ever seen, but it definitely had its couple scenes that kind of made me jump, and a lot of it had to do with the music. The music really helped make it scary, and that's the same for a lot of other movies, like Unsolved Mysteries. I cannot watch that show because of the music. At the beginning of this thing.
It sets the mood of everything.
It does.
And then,
When-
of course, the guy's voice. He is very creepy.
He is.
When you have a movie that is so well thought out, even down to the piano in it, it's just it's absolutely amazing. And the music, the acting, the scenery, it all just works together very well. And I honestly believe that even if people consider it to be an action-adventure movie and not a horror movie, the horror for me is psychologically of what would happen to me if I went into the water just being stupid, just asking for trouble. That's fear in itself.
Yeah, I don't recommend that you go skinny dipping in Twilight, naked. Oh, I guess skinny dipping is naked. While drinking Alabama Slammers, but, During
And-
feeding time.
And throwing the bottle around and stuff like
Yeah.
football, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, and who knows, maybe she was on her period, and that's why, the shark went,
But at the same time, that's also a fear for females because a lot of times, depending on how bad the cramps are, the females allow that to keep them at home. Sometimes, if they're really bad, I know people that have such bad cramps that they're like just cramped over and they're crying and screaming that it's the worst pain ever. And then there's others who can tolerate it and they're like, well, I think I can go swimming. And that is something that even if they're not out there going swimming, they're probably in water that's at least above their crotch.
Do we need to educate him?
Start schooling them.
Okay, start schooling
He's a
me.
man.
I don't have periods.
They're all things called tampons.
Yeah, but there's got to be like some loose hoe out there where it's dribbling out.
I've never. I don't think that happens. But I don't. I think a cut on your leg or hand would
Like
attract,
the little boy.
Like the little boy, and that I never caught before in the movie either until tonight. And the little boy cuts his hand and he comes in, and the mom's washing it. Well, shows Chief Brody on the phone, and so people are concentrating on what the chief is saying on the phone. But meanwhile, in the background, the mother's washing the kid's hand, and the kid's saying, "Can I go swimming in the water?" And and the mother's like, "Well, okay." And I'm sitting there thinking, no, it's not okay. His hand is bleeding. That's gonna attract sharks.
Yeah. Well, who's to say that sharks can't sense it? Because it's like even in some movies where it regards like bear attacks or other animals attacking because of blood flow. Who's to say that sharks can't sense it? They sense feeding time. They sense when it's time to feed.
I had seen that they say that that surfers get attacked not just because they look like seals on the surfboards, but because they urinate in the water, and the urination attracts the sharks. That's been a study that they had done.
That's really interesting.
So don't pee in the ocean.
I was gonna say, if you're a surfer, get out of the, as you're walking out, then go wee wee, Just like, once you get to like a knee length, just kind of let it, let the yellow mellow,